Hello, chismosas y chismosos, and welcome back to Bay Area Housewife of True Crime, where I like to tell the stories of the real cucuys and lloronas of the world. And if you don't know what a cucuy or a llorona is, it's just a Spanish term for monster. I'm Audrey, a paralegal turned stay-at-home mom who loves true crime. The cases I cover are wild, topics may be triggering. Viewer and listener discretion is very strongly advised. The people mentioned are innocent until proven guilty in court. With all that being said, grab your hot Cheetos and let's get started on today's case. In June of 31-year-old Kristel Candelario was an Ecuadorian-American woman who lived in Cleveland, Ohio. She was a single mother of two and lived with her parents, Kerry Torres and Clever Candelario, on West 97th Street. She obtained a bachelor's degree in education, and since November of 2022, Kristel worked as a substitute teacher at Citizen Academy in Glenville, an elementary school in Cleveland, Ohio. Kristel was previously married here in the U.S. They had a daughter and eventually got divorced. In the middle of the pandemic, Kristel Candelario was not sheltering in place. Baby, she was wilding out on social media, and that's how she met Jalen's biological father. Can we talk about the pandemic for a moment? I had my daughter in April of 2020. She was born prematurely and was in the NICU for 2 weeks. So on top of the world being infected by and dying of this new virus, I had a medically sensitive newborn that I had vowed to forever protect. The way people were not sheltering in place, did not wear masks, did not quarantine, kept having company over at their homes, and still expected to visit my newborn baby that had finally made it out of the NICU, which is the neonatal intensive care unit, has forever scarred me. And if I think about it for too long, it starts to infuriate me. Henry Garcia and Kristel Candelario met on Facebook in the middle of the pandemic of 2020. He was from her homeland of Ecuador, and in one of her trips to her home, they met in person. She came back to the U.S. and they continued their long-distance relationship. Then, at a later time, they vacationed together at the Dominican Republic, and that's where Jalen was conceived. She came back to the U.S., found out she was pregnant, and let him know. They were surprised, as this was not a planned pregnancy, but once they got over the initial shock, they were happy with the idea of a new life. So much so that Kristel moved to Ecuador during her pregnancy with Jalen. However, according to Kristel, it was at this time that he became abusive towards her. So she packed up her bags and came back to the U.S. with Jalen, who was born in Ohio. Henry Garcia never physically met his daughter, Jalen. Jalen Candelario was born healthy, and now being 16 months old, she was developing normally. Jalen was described as a happy baby who was probably 6 months into a world of hers where walking was a new thing and was learning how to conquer it. At 16 months old, Jalen was crawling, learning to walk, recognizing her mom, saying mama, bibi, baba, or milk, waving hello. She had a handful of her baby teeth. They say that the first 5 years of a child's life is the most important and forms part of the most formative years of a child's life. 16 months old, when the child's primary caretaker leaves the room, the baby thinks that they have ceased to exist, that they are no more. At 16 months old, at any age, but especially at 16 months old, a baby needs their mama. Sadly, not just in this case, but in far too many cases, that does not matter. My own mother abandoned me in Mexico when I was just a baby. Depending who you ask, the age ranges, but I guess we can all agree I was about 6 months old. Lucky for me, I was left in the care of my amazing grandparents who raised me until I was 5 years old. As I previously mentioned, Kristel worked as a substitute teacher, and when the school year ended, class was dismissed, and kids were on vacation, she thought she deserved one too. On June 1st of 2023, Kristel's parents took her 7-year-old daughter with them on their vacation to Ecuador. On June 4th of 2023, Kristel Candelario left her 16-month-old daughter, Jaylene, alone in her pack and play, aka playpen, with no one else taking over responsibility for caring for her from June 4th of 2023 through June 6th of 2023. Kristel Candelario was in the Detroit, Michigan area. At 11:29 a.m. on June 4th of 2023, Kristel had brunch at Denny's in Taylor, Michigan. Jaylene was alone for 2 days. Kristel came back to her Cleveland, Ohio home on June 6th of 2023 at 7:41 a.m. That same afternoon, Kristel leaves her home again and goes to Detroit. And then on June 8th of 2023, she took a Spirit Airlines flight to Puerto Rico, where she lived her best life until June 11th of 2023. However, she did not return home until 8 a.m. on June 16th of 2023. Jaylene had passed away.